A trailblazer in American politics and a female icon, California Senator Dianne Feinstein has died at the age of 90. Her desk in the Senate chamber draped with a black cloth and a vase of white flowers in her honor. After becoming the first female mayor of San Francisco, she became the longest-serving female senator in American history. Flags flying at half-staff at the White House, where she's being remembered. And President Biden is also paying his respects, and he did it during a speech in Arlington, Virginia.
She was a historic figure, trailblazer for women, and a great friend. Dianne made her mark on everything from national security to the environment, to gun safety, to protecting civil liberties. The country's going to miss her dearly, and so will Jill and I.
For more now on her life and legacy, the late Senator Dianne Feinstein, I want to bring in a former California senator that knew her very well, worked together with her quite a bit, Barbara Boxer. She's actually joining us by phone. Senator, thank you so much for calling in. Growing up in California, I know how the two of you have been close. You have worked together politically through lots of personal times as well. Let's just start with when you first met her and the power of your friendship, not just personally, but politically.
Right. Well, our friendship was forged when we both found ourselves running together on the ballot in California, this huge state that never had elected ever one woman, let alone two women, to the United States Senate. And no state had ever elected two women, and our friendship and our bond was formed. And I have to be totally honest. People say, how did you do it, Barbara? Because when I ran, I was an asterisk in the polls, literally. Senator Feinstein was really well known because she had been the mayor of San Francisco, forged in that double assassination, and she ran for governor. She didn't make it, but she ran a great race, and people knew her and loved her. And I was somebody nobody knew. So Senator Feinstein could have said, Barbara, you're on your own. I'm going to run my own campaign. But she didn't do that. She grabbed my hand. It just gives me the chills to think about it because she didn't have to do that. And they called us the Thelma and Louise of California. Somebody did a great cartoon about that. And we made it together. And even though we had some different approaches, I was more liberal, she was more centrist, that never got in the way. We always knew we could, if we had differences, they wouldn't be personal. They never got personal.
Yeah, both of you were household names as we were growing up. Both of my parents, teachers, and my mom in particular would mention the two of you quite a bit as I was growing up in California. And I'm just curious, together, how did you support each other when you were dealing with a male-dominated field, and yes, both of you very strong women, but there are times when sometimes you have to come together with your girlfriends and say, what the, we got to do something here. How did you support each other, and maybe there's a particular time where she really helped you or you were able to help her kind of forge through kind of that male-dominated world?
Well, that's a great question because we were so different in our styles, even in our physical appearance. She's really, for me, very tall. I'm barely 5 feet. So we were together when it came to California and when it came to issues like gun violence, and she was such a heroine on that front. We worked together, but we did it in a strategic way. We planned it. I would always laughingly say, I'll take the short senators, you take the tall ones. And, because we had a little bit different views, we had different coalitions and different friends in the House and the Senate, and we used that to our advantage. And I think your mom would say, and you may well remember, in those years, people thought, oh, they'll fight. There'll be cat fights every day because they're in competition. And there was even one reporter that had a column where he was trying to focus on every time we had a different perspective. No one had ever done that with two male senators. So we knew that we had to prove that women can get along even when they disagree, and we had the strength to lead. And it was quite a ride, 24 years in the United States Senate.
Yeah, you did it. I remember people wanted to pitch you against each other, and neither one of you were having that nonsense.
No, we wouldn't have that nonsense. And again, we did have our disagreements over the war in Iraq as an example, a couple of environmental issues. But we went out for dinner and we looked at each other across the table and said, do no harm. You do what you have to do, but it's not a battle. And we were able to do that. And I'm so thrilled because after we broke that glass ceiling of having the 2 women, many other states now have 2 women. And, of course, when we got elected, we went to 6 women out of 100. Now there's a quarter of the Senate. It really needs to be 50% just because women are 50% of the population. But I am sad today because we're losing her, but I know she had a rough year, and I want her to rest in peace. She worked up until the last minute, which is just how she would have wanted it.
Can I ask you, Barbara, you have been quoted saying that today, saying it was a very, very, very tough ending and a rough ending for her. What do you mean by that?
Well, she had illness. Her illness was awful, the shingles, and how it impacted her, and in physical ways, and even in ways where, you know, she lost a step or 2. And that was hard. And the other thing is the stress on her, because Republicans would not, they said they wouldn't replace her on the Judiciary Committee if she stepped aside. And she had the, you know, responsibility on her shoulders to stay on that committee so we could get judges confirmed. And it made it rough on her. So it was very hard. You know, a lot of people loved her, said, Dianne, go home because you need to rest and get well. Other people saying, oh, my God, you have to stay. You know, it was just hard. And then she had other personal things that I don't even know about that were in the paper. So it just was a hard ending. But because she focused on the work and her responsibility up until the last minute, I mean, she just proved something that we all need to know. Never give up.
Yeah, she channeled her Winston Churchill, didn't she? Former Senator Barbara Boxer, thank you so much. I really wanted to talk to you today, and I'm so glad you called in. Thank you.
A pleasure. Bye-bye.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.